And if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of active working memory space in your brain, you think of that as your RAM or your counter space.
Right.
You really can begin to struggle in school because you can't retain everything that you need to know. And education right now is very factual oriented. I mean, retaining that information is so critical. Later, I always tell kids who are struggling with active working memory, later in life, you know, you're going to have that all on your hard drive, you know. But sometimes in class, you need that active working memory because it's what you have to recall, you know, and you have to recall those facts rapidly in a point in time that you don't have to later.
Right.
So understanding that that's a problem that you have if you're unable to recall something right away. Here's what a teacher and a student can do. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I remember students who would be terrified that they would be called on in class.
Oh yeah, here we are.
All right, so it's an active working memory issue. And it's not that you don't know the information, it's that you can't store it real quickly for a recall.
Right.
So why would I ever, if I know that about you, why would I ever call on you in class? What I would do is say, Greg, tomorrow, I said, I'm going to give you this question. And what I'm going to give you is, instead of 24 seconds to recall, I'm going to give you 24 hours. So you can go home because you've got that information in your long-term memory. So you've got time to retrieve it and pull it through. And it still allows you to show what you know, not to be humiliated.
Right.
And to educate you about, it's just a glitch in your brain. You're storing that stuff in your long-term memory, not in your active working memory, because you don't have a lot of space there.
That is tremendous, Mary Dean. Now, this forces educators to be, obviously, if they learn this language and are in tune with what either schools is tuned or is that program in place, it really causes them to make sure they are staying attuned to their students.
That's right.
Which is very important.
It helps us all become better kid watchers, you know, and I think that whenever I talk to students and you ask them what they really want in a teacher, they will always tell me, I want a teacher that really knows me. And what they're saying is they want teachers to know them as learners, know what they're good at, know what they're struggling with, know what they're passionate about. All of those things can be easily observed. Sometimes teachers feel overwhelmed when they come into our program. They think, oh, I have to know this deeply about every single child in my classroom. And it's not that at all. It's that you become such a good kid watcher that you're watching the behaviors of students, and it's windows into their minds, which is wonderful. You don't have to spend a lot of time with someone to know that they might have an active working memory problem. You realize that when there's somebody stammering when you call on them in class.
How exciting, Mary Dean. This must be thrilling for teachers to have that.
It is. It really is.
To have that aspect. How could viewers be involved? Are there ways, are you all ever seeking donations, or are you all so well funded that you don't have to think about it?
No, we are a not-for-profit. And on our website we do have an online link that we love having, philanthropic support. And we have an annual fund that we solicit donations for. And what I love about our annual fund is that it really helps us build a network and a community of people that are saying this kind of work matters to kids. And so we have big donors, like, when anyone hears that Charles Schwab is our co-funder, they think, oh, you must be so funded.
That's right.
And he, has, certainly lent, considerable credibility and capital and dollars, but he also doesn't expect that he's going to fund this for the rest, rest of his life.
So folks should go to allkindsofbonds.org, and if they don't feel comfortable making a donation online, you've got a toll-free number online they can call.
We have an individual named Jill Ullman. Who runs our annual fund. And she would be, she'll probably be standing by the phone at 7 a.m.
Right now, absolutely. Good. Allkindsofbonds.org. Okay, how about, are there ways, I think you shared with me that you're not yet ready to talk about that, but last Monday you all discussed some legislatures all over the country are getting involved. Can viewers contact their legislators to ask about being involved with All Kinds of Minds, or just making sure that their legislators know about All Kinds of Minds?
We have been talking to, this past year, to the State Department in South Carolina, who's been wonderful to work with, and with representatives in both the House and the Senate, seeking some initial money so that schools and teachers, when you're starting a new program up, it's very hard to go in and ask schools to pay for it when they don't really know what it is. So we do, we have a state program in North Carolina, Oklahoma, contract with the New York City Department of Education.
Congratulations, yes.
Yeah, I had red hair before I started working in New York.
That's right.
And so we're trying to do the same thing in South Carolina. For the first couple of years, as you're starting a new program, we do like to get some legislative support or some state funding that can flow through to the schools so that they can purchase our program.
That is tremendous. Even as a nonprofit, of course, you still oftentimes, that's a great vehicle to keep the funds coming in.
We do, we're not-for-profit, and our funding sources are earned program revenue through some of the programs and services we deliver, along with philanthropy.
There's probably going to be folks all over the country clamoring to learn the language, to learn the all kinds of minds language as they see it roll out, particularly in the Tar Heel and the Palmetto states. I think you said Oklahoma and some other the New York City schools. That's a big deal. That's a good testing ground.
I think
to get.
It is.
We've got about 5 minutes, Mary Dean, as you think about, and time is flying here. What are some of the most important issues, if a viewer if they were doing that elevator speech with a legislator, if they called and were talking to them about it and saying, we want to make sure you learn about all kinds of minds. You shared that elevator talk, how you would describe it, but what's another way that a viewer could make it simple when talking to their legislators?
I think the problem that we're trying to solve is that so many children fall through the cracks simply because their minds are misunderstood. And the knowledge base that the All Kinds of Minds Institute has is a knowledge base about science that just has not been, it's so new, it hasn't made its way into teacher preparation programs, administrator preparation programs. So they need an institute like ours to take this knowledge directly to the schools so that we can deeply understand learning variation, and help all kids who are to become more successful learners. We don't have a mind to waste in this country anymore.
I love
really
that.
Don't.
Absolutely, you're right. Speaking of that, speaking of wasting time or wasting minds, what are some things that parents can do during the summertime here while their kids are out of school to help their students get ready for the beginning of the next school year?
Oh, I think that summer's a wonderful time to do some of the things that kids can't do in school. What I would encourage parents to do first and foremost is find something that their child absolutely loves. It's our passions and affinities in life that are going to really guide our careers, and this is a wonderful time for parents to really observe what their child loves to do, what they want to become an expert in, and let them explore that. Spend time learning your child as a learner, finding their affinities, finding their passions, doing something artistic, creative, collaborating with kids and teams. So school can be a pressure cooker for kids, and summer can be a nice balance of sort of nurturing those other parts of your mind that you might not get a chance to do in school.
Let's hope a parent or even a child that's hearing that will think about it themselves in their own lives.
What do I want to be an expert at?
Yeah, absolutely. But both for themselves as an adult as well as for their children. I think in reading about you, Mary Dean, that there's a point in the little bio about you where you're in the middle of a doctorate and possibly stopped pursuing your doctorate to pursue what you absolutely love. The same advice you're giving to parents right now.
That's right. It was a very tough thing. And in fact, my daughter, who is 24 and dropped out of college to manage an Outback, reminded me that I had made the same decision, and I wasn't happy about that. But it is finding what you care most about and following that path, even though sometimes it may feel like you're going against what you should do. But I have never regretted, never regretted.
That's great. Absolutely. If you think, had you kept pursuing the doctorate, had you moved forward on that, Mary Dean, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't running All Kinds of Minds? And you've just stepped into the position as CEO recently.
That's right.
The CEO has moved into the president's role and is still very active with you all.
That's right.
What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't running All Kinds of Minds?
If I had pursued a doctorate, I would probably be on a faculty writing arcane papers about education policy that a group of about 30 people were interested in. And I don't say that as tongue-in-cheek as it sounded, but what I like to do is to take big ideas and to try to make them happen on behalf of kids. And for me, academia was a little too removed, you know, talking. I want to take the theory and put it into practice. And so this Finding All Kinds of Minds was just a wonderful opportunity for me. I worked at the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards for years, which is how I got very familiar with South Carolina, which it's been a great state for that education initiative too. So moved from that to all kinds of minds.
All kinds of minds. Those are great words, Mary Dean. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Mary Dean Barringer coming up next. Think about that simple message. Every student can benefit from a greater understanding of his or her strengths and weaknesses. Every student there, but also every parent, every educator, every administrator, every school bus driver, everyone who comes in contact with kids. You heard Mary Dean share that vision, that view of making sure that adults have that opportunity to communicate in the same language with the children in the classroom. It's a critical one, whether inside the classroom or out of the classroom. You know, I didn't think I'd wake up here in neurodevelopmental constructs and think that it would have any impact on me as a parent or as someone who yearns to have my child grow up in a place that she or he could learn and learn well. It's a real opportunity. All Kinds of Minds is all about this. Just this simple piece of that goal of making sure that folks are talking with the same language, that children are communicating with their teachers and with their administrators and with their parents in the same way. Take the time to learn more about All Kinds of Minds at allkindsofminds.org, allkindsofminds.org. Learn the message that Mary Dean shared about and a lot of great frequently asked questions that Dr. Mel Levine takes the time to answer. Go online.